You know the beginning of Thank you, Christina.
You're welcome.
We're getting in so much trouble for this one. Like, we really shouldn't be doing this one. Hi, everybody. Look, in all honesty, I shouldn't be doing this video. This is going to be one of the more controversial, if not the most controversial, Artist Problem Real Talks we've ever done. And I can't stress enough, I don't even think Jerry's knows I'm doing this. In fact, I guarantee they don't even know I'm doing it. So this is not the opinion of Jerry's or endorsement of any kind of use of illicit drugs or alcohol or anything. It's just supposed to be an adult conversation. Can we have an adult conversation, please, about drugs and alcohol? That's what I want to do. You want to do that. It's all you want to talk about. Listen what I did this weekend. Oh my God. What was a mess. So here's something. I'm going to start by opening up a little bit about me. I think the folks around here know, but since you're here visiting me, just you and me, I wanted you to know something about me. You might not know that I don't drink. I don't drink. I haven't drank in probably over a decade. And you know, the question I get is, well, why? Why don't you drink? The answer is, I'm really good at it. Yeah, I'm really good at it, and I'm very aware. And so yeah, so I stopped drinking. But there were a number of years where I drank, and I would do art while I drank. And so I'll just put a thumbtack in that. We'll get back to it. And I'm going to share some of my experiences in this area and some of my friend's experience in this area, and just kind of, you know, talk about it. It's conversation. That's what I want. I want conversations. Yeah, none of you guys are saying anything, but that's pretty much how I told you to be, so it's not your fault. There's this concept that intoxication can open your mind. It can lead to new creativity. I mean, it's glamorized. If you look at like you read about Vincent van Gogh drinking the absinthe and Little Blue Fairy. Now, that's getting into what's considered a hallucinogen, which, you know, today I more want to focus on the stuff like alcohol and marijuana, stuff that's legal or at least partially legal in the United States. But, you know, we can talk a little bit about that. It's kind of glamorized, you know, this whole concept of like, well, if I open my mind to all these things, you know, how will it affect my art? I mean, it will only lead to more creative stuff. Well, little green fairies are not real. You know, I've always said that. You know, they're not real like leprechauns or Girl Scouts. They don't exist. I've made that point before, and the green fairy is no exception. And I also feel that there's like a bit of a stereotype about artists being not necessarily junkies, but like well, I'll tell you, like there is a very big stereotype, and I think that it's a little true. Like a lot of musicians smoke a lot of pot, and I mean it's like they don't call it sex, drug, and rock and roll for nothing. You know, it kind of all goes into that. Now, whether or not those drugs are helping them become better artists, or in all honesty, I wonder if it just calms their nerves because there's so much pressure put on them on those big stages to entertain. I mean, I'm not making excuses, but I'm just saying that there's different reasons outside of just creativity that artists of all type, anybody that's trying to be creative, might say, well, what can I do? I like to think also back about, you know, when you think about like the 60s, you know, like that was a very colorful time, and it was a time where it was like, you know, there was a lot more of those hallucinogenic drugs going on. Into the 70s, the harder stuff, so like in the 60s it was like more like the mushrooms and stuff, and LSD so much in the 70s. Didn't like Jimi Hendrix used to keep LSD under his headband when he played. That was like what he did. Of course, he died shortly after that, but, you know, that's what he did. And it's just something that, you know, it comes up. You know, the opportunity comes up to do these things and then think to yourself, well, am I doing some, you know, I don't want you to start bargaining with yourself. And when I say bargaining, I mean, if you say to yourself, well, I wouldn't normally, you know, do these drugs or drink that, but I want to do it for the sake of creativity. You know, that's bargaining. You're bargaining with yourself to justify your actions. And that ain't cool. You know, that ain't cool with me. you should be honest with yourself and say, do I really think I'm doing something good for myself when I'm doing these things? And look, I'll be the first one to tell you that I live a very clean lifestyle. Unless it's prescribed to me, that's all I take. I'm also kind of square and boring and don't leave my room and my house. I just want to sit and paint and look at the computer and watch my Netflix shows. It's all I want. Leave me alone. I'm not going with you to whatever. I'll go with you. I'll go with my friend. Now, there's actually been some research in this area that I found online, and it turns out that there was a study done in the UK in the early aughts, 2000s. I don't know, what do you call it? What is it? Aughts? It's a weird thing. In the early aughts, yeah, where they did this study where they had a control and they had somebody that was kind of like doing paintings and then drinking and then drinking and then drinking. And this is what they found. It makes a lot of sense to me. In the beginning, after that first drink, let's say, in the beginning, you start to get, well, I mean, if you've ever had a drink before, you know that it lowers inhibitions and it gives you this false sense of, what's my C word, Will? Confidence. It gives you a false sense of confidence. And that can allow you to be freer in your motion and open up your ability to not be so uptight. I mean, that's really what it is. It's just like a hall pass to do art. Hall pass is probably a bad analogy, but I've never gotten one. But if I did, will be on my list. Where was I? I don't know where I go off on these tangents. However, okay, let's get back on topic. However, there was an extremely sharp decline in this law of diminishing returns with each additional drink, where it became less and less of a help and more of a hindrance. Now, we'll take that pen out again. When I was in college, I would go down in my studio. I was living at a friend's house with this big, gross basement that he let me paint in. And I would go down there and I would be drunk as a skunk. And I would just do anything I wanted. And, I had so much fun. And in the morning, I hated myself. I was like, I can't show this to people. They're gonna think I'm on drugs, but it turns out I was just drunk. But so I buy into that. I was not just having a drink; I was having drinks. Now, if you're going to just have a drink, I don't think there's anything wrong with that if you're of age. They call it wine and design for a reason. A lot of times, especially people that are hobbyists or are not really comfortable with art materials, have a drink and relax. That's like the thing. Or is it sit back and relax, enjoy the flight? I don't know. Have a drink and relax. Relax, however you're going to relax. And wine and design exists because that's how people kind of, have a little unwinding. It's a little night out on the town, I was going to say girls' night, but that sounds kind of sexist. A little night out, I would do wine design, but I don't drink, so I just design. But you're a designer, Jamie, and you drink, so you're really wine and design. You drunk right now? Caffeine drunk.
So you said you design, but you don't wine. I'm not sure that's entirely true.
Yeah. There's different types of wine, and let me tell you something. There is one kind of wine that I do, and that is whining. I am a professional complainer, as I've claimed before. And when I say have a drink, I don't mean sitting down with a glass of wine and at an easel and going out. I mean, that's my sister's Tuesday. I mean, that's just what she does. It's normal. She paints and she has a glass of wine. She's very normal. She's not an addict like me. They can't stop drinking because I'm an animal. No, she has a drink and then she, will paint. That's, how she relaxes. That's her little wine and design. But, what I was doing was drinking with no G. Drinking. Yeah, that puts emphasis on it, right? Are we going out for drinks or are we going out for drinks? So let's go to that marijuana thing. Now, marijuana is now legal, as of the filming of this video, for recreational use in 5 states. That's California, Maine, it's legal in Nevada, Oregon, Colorado. How many states did I just name? That was 5? Okay, I'm a little high. And it's been legal in a few of those states for years, more recently in California. I mean, and unless I'm missing something, I'm not seeing a big boom of creativity coming out of these towns. Like, I'm not seeing anything like, well, everybody's able to, smoke pot now, so all of a sudden there's like all kinds of, new age, I've never seen this kind of art before. There's no new art movement starting because of it. Now, I'm not putting down the legalization. I'm not talking, this isn't a political discussion. Should it be legal? Should it not be legal? Are drugs inherently evil? Are they inherently good? That's not the point of this conversation. So I just want to take to those of you that might be like, very much like, hey, you might have some horror stories about yourself or loved ones, or just your own very strong personal convictions about these things. This is not my endorsement. This is not me saying that it's okay. It's just for those that want to share any kind of experiences that they've had and how it's affected them. One way, positive or negative. I'm staying neutral. Me Switzerland. Yeah, me Switzerland. Is that racist? No? You have to think about it, right? Well, I'm not Switzerland. I'm Michael. I'm Mike, not Jerry. Yeah, that's right. And just stay on topic, okay? This is about, will it help you with your art? Now, getting on that topic of the hallucinogenic stuff, and absinthe is legal in the United States now, but it's not what I had in Europe, where it was legal, okay? It doesn't have the ingredient in it. It has a certain ingredient in it that causes the hallucinations. And I gotta tell you something, it tastes terrible. Have you ever had absinthe? It tastes like black licorice. Now, if you like black licorice, maybe you'll be like, ooh, I gotta try that. But I think most people don't enjoy it, and it was just very strong. It was not a pleasant experience. But I did have a friend, Will said I have to do it like that, in high school that did experiment with different hallucinogenic drugs. He used things like LSD. He used things like mushrooms. Not frequently. He was reasonable about it. Just maybe once a year. He was very nice. He was a good-looking guy too. He had these experiences, and in the moment, what he said to me was, he told me in confidence, I shouldn't share. In the moment when he was under the influence, when he was arting under the influence, or whether he was just under the influence, he felt like he was creating cities in his mind. He was creating new, beautiful things. And then as these things wore off, he just kind of felt less and less good about himself. I dated a girl. Thanks, Will. I dated a girl who was a stoner. She liked to smoke pot every day. That was her thing. And, I was into her and just, it was never really my thing. It makes me really paranoid. I mean, I've dabbled in legal states, but with my OCD and anxiety, it is not a good combination. And I remember having a conversation with her while she was high, and she was saying to me, why don't they make houses for birds? And I said, what do you mean? She's like she had a pet parakeet, whatever it was, a cockatoo. She's like, if they just built the house where there were like branches and leaves, the bird didn't have to be in a cage. It could be free. And I said to her, but the bird will everywhere. and it will fly out the front door. But in the moment, she thought she had a revelation. Genius. Absolutely genius. And like so many times, when you're under the influence, it's a false sense of confidence, and you're not truly in the right state of mind to make a decision. Now, that friend I was talking about, he'll tell you that when you are hallucinating, your mind is racing. It's like, he described it as like constant forward motion in your brain. Racing thoughts. So a lot of stuff comes to you. How much you retain, I don't know. He didn't tell me and I don't remember. But it's very difficult to actually try to focus on anything, from what I've been told. Is anybody buying this? But anyway, what I wanted to know is, have you arted under the influence? Have you done art, whether it was just had a drink or you tried something? I want to have an adult conversation about this. I want to see what other people out there think. You might think I'm absolutely wrong. Say like, look, I've done X, Y, and Z, and I feel so much better about my art ever since I have. You might feel like, you maybe were like me, where like you drank a little too much. It was like, well, I shouldn't have wasted that paint. Yeah, it felt bad. I want to know about your arting under influence. How did it go? What was your experience? And let's share those experiences if you feel up to it. Look, I'm getting up here, putting myself out there, sharing all my friends' stories, and I'm curious about you. I want to know. And God forgive me for making this video. I mean, come on. What am I doing? I'm making a mockery of myself. Make sure that if you do drink or you do drugs, do it responsibly. If you're gonna do art, do it responsibly. And if you're gonna follow me on Instagram, do it responsibly at Mike Not Jerry. Did you see it coming that time? I got you. I slowed it down a little bit. Yeah, I'm terrible. Where I continue to push the envelope with different things and pepper in photos of babies. It's very bizarre, my Instagram feed. And Jamie keeps making the funniest things, memes and stuff. I don't put them all up there because sometimes I couldn't take that one of me as a Riddler. It was just so disturbing. She made me the Riddler from the old Batman TV series for Ask Me Anything, and she said, "You're running out of time to ask questions," and it was like me in the suit, and I said, I can't. If my wife sees this, she'll never want to allow me in the house again. So yeah, so I got ejected. So I'm sorry, that's not gonna make it. Nobody will ever see that. You're gonna put it up right now, aren't you? Thanks, Will. Yeah, okay, well, great. There's other drugs out there that we didn't talk about, but really it's the hallucinogenic drugs that have kind of gotten that glamorized over the years. And then there's like the marijuana and alcohol aspect, which is just in public life so much that, we might have had experiences with it.
I think like if I was gonna have a drink or two, I would want to do some art. If I was gonna be high, I would want to go to a museum and just look at art. I think it'd be cool.
I did that in Amsterdam. I mean, my friend did. It was Amsterdam. I did it in Amsterdam.
It's legal in Amsterdam.
Yeah, I went to Anne Frank's house. I thought that was inappropriate, but I did not do that. Mom, I did not do that. I did not go to Anne Frank's house high. No, I went to the Van Gogh Museum. It was a Van Gogh Museum? I want you to now that we finished, I want you to go ahead and get high and rewatch the video so you can double my numbers. No, I in no way endorse or say it's the thing to do or not the thing to do. It's not my position. You have people in your life, or you are your own person and can make your own choices. We're having that adult conversation. And I appreciate everybody's feedback and everybody that, takes the risk to say, hey, I'll put myself out there and say I did this. And I would tell you more about what I did, but I've been assured by legal that my friends have to tell you. So, and by legal, I just mean you guys. We have a legal team. They said, you can't say that. Like, they don't know.